This is going to be the weekly reading for Scorpio the week of March 19th. The first card that I have here is the Five of Staves. And basically, with this card here, this is saying that if you have a situation that you're in with people or circumstances, and if it no longer resonates, don't be afraid to leave that situation. Don't stay in that situation longer than you have to out of an obligation, a sense of obligation or responsibility. Because honor yourself first. That's the message that I'm getting with this card, is always honor yourself first. Because to clarify that card, I have the Elf Queen, which is all about being introverted, burden, responsibility. Because a lot of times we put others and other situations ahead of ourselves. So this is saying it's all right to be introverted and to put yourself first, and to not feel so burdened or responsible for others. And like I said, if it's a situation where it's a job or a relationship or a so-called friendship, don't be afraid to leave that behind, because it's all about honoring yourself first. Excuse me, I got some allergies this morning. Then we have the King of Pentacles. And once again, what I'm getting with this card is just to not take things so seriously. And a lot of times we feel like the problem is us, and the problem is really others, and we need to lighten up. A lot of times, like I found myself, I'm a Scorpio too, and I found myself a lot of times feeling like other people have their shit together more than I have mine together, when really that's just an illusion. That's not even how it is. Really, we don't give ourselves enough credit. So that is the message that I'm getting with this card. Because to clarify that card, I have the She Who Laughs. And this is all about humor. This is all about, why is it? It just looks real fuzzy. Okay, there we go. Humor, perspective, and mirth. And so I'm getting not so much the humor part of this, but what I'm getting is that perspective. Is, like I said, a lot of times, and I was in my own situations this past week where I felt like I was the problem. I thought, I'm the problem. I'm the weak link. I'm the one who I'm trying to describe the energy of this card. A lot of times we give people too much credit. And, anyone who watches my readings knows that I'm not in victim mentality at all. But, a lot of times we do have situations that are there to teach us, that are there for like more growth and for lessons. And we miss the lesson. So make sure you don't always feel like you're the problem, because we are not always the problem. So check your perspective and make sure that you're not beating yourself up. Because people come into our lives as lessons, and situations come into our lives as lessons. And a lot of times it is soul family that's there to teach us. So once again, be sure and forgive also, even if it was, what you perceive to be a shitty situation. Because now we have the Wisdom card. And this is all about spiritual wisdom. This is all about seeing past the illusions and past what's really happening, and being able to see the truth in the situation. And the message that's coming through with this card too is to always speak your truth. Always don't be afraid to, even if and the message that's coming through is, even if it hurts somebody's feelings, always be true to yourself. Always. A lot of times we think that when we're on a spiritual journey that we have to always be kind. Well, make sure that you're kind to yourself first. Because to clarify that card, we got the Other World card, which is all about veil, illness, transition. And what's really standing out to me in this is the veils. And a lot of times you hear people talk about the veils. And basically what that is being able to see, being more higher vibrational. So basically, when you have a situation that comes up, be able to look at it from a higher vibrational view. Don't just look at it from a physical standpoint, because there's always more going on than what meets the eye. And a lot of times when we're in situations that we're trying to manifest something and we don't see it happening fast enough, we don't realize that there's things going on behind the scenes. And so that whatever's happening now is actually happening for our highest good, because it's getting us to where we want to be. So don't focus on so much what's happening in the physical realm right now, is the message I got with that card. Then you have the Nine of Pentacles. And what I'm getting with this too, what I have found, a lot of the lessons I've had over the past week are to not commit myself to things. Because I'm just real free-spirited, and I like to be able to be free to do what I want, and I don't like to be restricted. So what I'm getting with this is to not put yourself into situations where in the long term they're not going to make you happy. So just kind of be a free agent for a while. That's what I'm getting with that card. Because it's clarified by this oath card, promise, pledge, contract. And so a lot of times we restrict ourselves because we think we know what we want. But then when we get into that situation, we're like, well, that is not what I wanted at all. And so it doesn't work out. And the reason why it works out is because it wasn't for us, because our soul knows what we want. A lot of times we don't even know what we want because we're coming from a place of ego. So that's why it's very important to make sure that the situation, the person, the things, to make sure that they resonate and that they feed your soul. Because otherwise you're going to end up stuck in a contract that you don't like. And then those never work out, right? Then we have the Ten of Swords. And this is the ending of a cycle. And things have been, just really hard lately, and lots of painful lessons. Lots of painful lessons. But we're moving into new energy with this Ten of Swords, because that means this is wrapping up. And we will be being more true to ourselves and walking away from situations which no longer serve us. And I say we because I'm a Scorpio too. Because to clarify this Ten of Swords card, we have the fairy norm, the planning, patience, cooperation card. So this is all about, and what I'm getting with this is to stop trying to plan everything out and go with the flow and just kind of surrender to the process right now, because like I said, our souls know what's going on right now. They're orchestrating everything, and stop getting into situations which no longer serve us. Because we think that's what we want, because we think that's what society says that we should be doing right now. Because with this, the message that I'm getting with this card is to go with the flow and to stop planning. And I would say have patience, but patience to me means waiting. And so you don't want to sit around and wait on anything. You want to be out here enjoying your life and living in the moment. So move away from that energy of planning and waiting and being patient and waiting for something to come in to make you happy. Be happy now. That's the message that I'm getting with this card. And it's interesting how she's looking in the mirror and she's seeing herself as this magical unicorn. And this is all about seeing ourselves how we really are in our soul form. In our magical form. We are magical beings. We aren't even really who we think we are. And the reason why we're learning we're not who we think we are is because every time we get ourselves into a situation, we're like, whoa, I thought I wanted this and I don't. It's because we're following the crowd and not being our own individual self. And it's all about changing our perspective and seeing past that veil and past what's happening in the physical right now. Because then we have the Journey card, and the Journey card is all about this journey called life that we're on, and being fluid and being open to new experiences. Sorry, there's a train. I love trains though, so I love sitting in my living room listening to trains. And there's a train in this picture. There's a sink from the universe. How amazing is that? That I love when things like that happen. It's so magical. But this is also a 10. This is also a completion of a cycle. So you are forward moving. You are about to embark on a new journey. Things are about to get easier. They're about to flow because you're about to let go of all these expectations. And you're about to just let the energy flow and stop sitting around and waiting on happiness to find you and connect to who you truly are. Now we have the false person card. And what I'm getting with this card also is a lot of that energy that I was talking about over here, as far as feeling like others have it together more than you do. And whenever a conflict arises, always assuming it's you. You know, and that has to do with how you see things and changing your perspective. Everybody else is not always right. You know, I worked in customer service for years, and they would always say the customer's always right. Well, that's bullshit. The customer's almost always never right, especially when they're upset and screaming and yelling at you. Most of the time, they're upset about some shit that happened before they even got to the store. But what I'm saying with this false person card is see through the veils and through the illusions, and always honor yourself first. That is the message I'm getting with this card. Pathway. It's a golden pathway right now. Everything's happening just like it's supposed to, leading you to exactly where you're trying to be at. Exactly. So that's the message that I'm getting with this pathway. Just go with the flow. And stop trying to plan and stop trying to wait around for things. I mean, that message has came through too, again. But yes, we're moving into an easier energy. This past week was a little tough, wasn't it? It was tough to navigate. Lots of lessons. But this is the weekly reading for Scorpio. I'll put my contact information in the description of the video if you would like to, excuse me, if you would like to book a private reading, a personal reading with me, I will have that information on there for you. And this was the weekly reading for Scorpio for March 19th.